welcome to the Live Life Golden Show podcast show and the Golden Hour on E360 TV. Also, the Manifest to Live Life Golden Show on YouTube. I am Golden Duffy, your host, and today we are talking about self-love. I realized that this is a topic that I don't have a show about. I may way back in the very first season of the podcast. If you want to watch all of my episodes, you can go to the podcast site or the YouTube site. YouTube, it's not in order. The podcast site, it's in order. So if you go to Manifest to Live Life Golden on any of the podcast forums, Apple, Spotify, any of those, you can find the beginning, like season 1, episode 1, that goes through the whole journey of manifesting. I'm sure that I've repeated subjects, but the thing is, it always comes out new and different because I'm in the flow of energy when I'm doing this. And I'm also having my own awarenesses, just like you are. So as I create in this life and as I am processing, and I'm always processing. I'm sure you're like that too, where you're just always processing what's happening and how to do things better and how do we improve and how do I raise my vibration. As you do this, the messages become different. So even if you've listened to those, when I first brought them out, it's good to listen to shows over again. I like to, be inspired and kind of see what resonates on a day, because it's going to hit a lot differently when you feel inspired to listen to it instead of just always listening to things in order. But I understand some people just like things to be in order. I'm a Virgo, so I totally get that. So we're talking about self-love today. What is self-love? How do you improve on your self-love story? How do you improve on that internal relationship that you have with yourself? It is the most important relationship you have here. I know you may think it's with your spouse, you may think it's with your kids, you may think it's with your parents, but the truth is, if your relationship with self is off, if it's not a priority, you're not going to be putting the same type of energy out into the world that you would if it was a priority. If you were actually valuing yourself, respecting yourself, treating yourself with kindness, with self-love, your outside world is going to reflect that to you. And then it's like, boom, everywhere you go and everything you do, people are reflecting this like lighthearted joy and love. And it's really interesting because it all has to do with that state of being that you are inside, right? So we'll do a little basics on the law of attraction, and then I'm going to jump into the self-love. So the state of being that you're in is basically how you are feeling, what you are vibrating out. We all have this essence, the essence of us, the essence of who we truly are, and the vibrational energy that we're putting out into the world. This manifests according to how we really feel inside. So this is why affirmations and, affirming and trying to be positive doesn't work, because the universe, the law of attraction, is responding to that state of being that you are truly at. So you could be like, I've been trying to be happy all day, but I'm still in a bad mood. Your bad mood is what's going to be reflecting and sending that signal out into the world. So how do you gain control of it? There's an emotional intelligence piece that's important, but there's also a digging deep, going deeper within your own self journey that's going to help you and provide you with the roadmap to improving, to getting on a better road of self-discovery and self-love. So my self-love journey, I think, started a long time ago, but I started out with a very low self-esteem. They do connect self-esteem, self-confidence with self-love. So that's why I'm going to talk a little bit about self-esteem. I really didn't like myself when I was younger. I really didn't hold myself in high regard. It didn't really matter what anyone said to me. I didn't feel good about myself. And I had a lot of family members that reflected that self-hatred to me by hating me, by being jealous of me, by saying terrible things to me. So when I came into a relationship with my husband, which is when I was like 14 years old, he had to do a lot of work to help me heal that. And I don't suggest that you do it with another person, but it is helpful if you are in a state of really low self-esteem and low self-confidence about yourself. It's helpful to have someone that loves you unconditionally and tells you all these great things about yourself. It really does. But if you don't believe it and you don't receive it, which means you push it away, and you're constantly down on yourself, I will tell you, it will erode that relationship. We had a lot of issues in the beginning of our relationship. In fact, we had a breakup in our, when I was a junior, we broke up for 4 months because I was just so, desperate. And I just like, there wasn't enough that he could do to fill me up. So we took that space, and it was actually really healthy for both of us, for me to kind of come into my own and find out my true self, and for him to actually, feel grateful for me and the love that I was giving him. So it was a great part of our journey and becoming more of who we are. I mean, God, we were so freaking young. But if you've experienced that in relationships where the person cannot give you enough love for you to actually feel love for yourself, then there's some internal work that needs to happen so that your relationships can start to reflect more of how you feel. So many times I've seen this in my mothering. Oh my goodness, my girls reflect that stuff to me all the time. When I have felt love and respect for myself, they have reflected that so deeply to me. And this Mother's Day, the cards that these girls gave me, I wish I could read them to you, but they are so, they are really, wow. I actually just realized that there was cards in these beautiful angel earrings that they gave me for Mother's Day. And I just realized there was cards. So I read them right before I popped on the show, and like, it certainly makes you not doubt yourself, and it certainly makes you feel like you're doing a good job as a mom. But it wasn't always the case. When I was going through the hardest times in my life with my family breakup, my biological family breakup, and teenagers, good Lord, teenagers, and one who just like really would rile into me and really disrespect me and really we had no boundaries, and just would attack me. I got to the point where I stood up to that and I said no more, and I'm not going to take that anymore. And some of that is what we need to do. When you have family members, when you're in toxic relationships, and I'm going to go through kind of the different levels of where you might be at in self-love and why these things are happening because of your lack of self-love. It wasn't until I realized my own worthiness and what I deserved in life, and kind of put an end to the disregard for my boundaries and the disregard for my respect and the jealousy and all of that stuff. It wasn't until I put an end to that I started to heal. And that, relationships ended. A lot of relationships ended. And as harsh as that may sound, sometimes that's what happens in life. Sometimes we aren't meant to be in our biological families. I was thinking about the mother love today and the mother wound, and being without a mother, even though my mother is still alive, has been a really interesting journey, and finding out who I really am and the strength and the power that I have to be a mother to so many girls and to people. I mean, I mother people all the time. Ask anybody who knows me. But to be that mother and to heal that mother wound, and to not say, oh, my parents abandoned me, so I'm no good, to get out of that. Because I was there for a while, for sure. Went through really, really hard times with that, challenges, and needing to heal that wound. So whatever it is with your mother wound, whether your mother's still alive and she's in your life, or she's not, or if she's passed and you didn't have a good relationship, I want you to take a deep look at that mother relationship, and what that mother relationship created inside of you as far as what you believe about yourself. I'm always like enamored with people who are like, my mom always encouraged and supported me. I guess my kids will say that about me. But I'm always like, what was that like to have a mom who was like, yes, you can do this, and yes, you're amazing, and yes, you're beautiful. And so to have that, I think if you didn't have that and there was a big lack of that, then, yesterday being Mother's Day, if you're watching this, when it comes out, actually it'll come out on Thursday. I'm recording on Tuesday this week. We are heading out of town again. We're going to San Luis Obispo to see my favorite band, the Elevators, because I'm obsessed. My husband is so awesome. So he booked us one of my favorite hotels in San Luis Obispo. And last time we went there, we didn't really get to be hang out in the town because it was raining. So this time we'll get a chance to do that. Hopefully we'll have beautiful weather, and we'll get to see our favorite boys again. Yeah, Jackson and the boys. But look, I want you to take a deep, hard look at that and just look at some of the beliefs, because this really factors into self love. Like that first relationship that you were supposed to have, that was supposed to tell you that the world was safe and that you were lovable and that you were, that unconditional love existed, right? Not all of us had that experience. No, many of us had experiences of conditional love. So I want you to look at that relationship and ask yourself, what are the beliefs that I took from that relationship, good, bad, or not? And what do I want to keep believing those things? Do I want to keep believing those things about myself? Because if you look at that self-critical voice in your head, a lot of times it's a parent, it's a teacher, it's a boyfriend, a girlfriend, an ex, something, and you took on those beliefs, and now you live, that becomes part of your story, and the story that's in your mind is the story that is your life. So look at those, those significant relationships. If it wasn't a mother, if it was a grandmother, look at those significant relationships and what was the energy there. What did you encounter with that person who was supposed to bring you up feeling like you were in a safe space? If you got yelled at a lot, if you got shamed a lot, if they were jealous of you, if they were unkind to you, if they beat you, if any of that stuff was going on, then that is going to impact your internal story, and it's going to impact how you feel about yourself, and it's going to be a huge factor in the love that you feel for yourself. All right, so learning to love others and then learning to love yourself so that others can reflect that love to you. That's what this show is about today. So self-love is your ability to treat yourself kindly, to not be hard on yourself, to dismantle and disintegrate that negative voice in your head that is not you. So who is it? I just talked about that. Somebody else. When did it start? Like, when did that voice start? Can you even track it back? And how did it start? Who is that voice? Is it still believable? Do you still believe those things about yourself? I still have a little bit of self-doubt that shows up. It tells me I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, that I should be doing more, that I should be doing something, right? There's still that voice in there, even though I'm putting out a show every week that 10,000 people are watching. I still have that. And that's something that I'm still working on, but I'm recognizing it sooner and I'm not spending as much time in it. And I think that that's part of the journey. This is a journey, guys. It's a journey. All right. So can't read my writing. Wounds from generational wounds that we need to wake up from. So some of this stuff could be generational. It could be stuff that your parents experienced, that your grandparents experienced, that was passed down along the generations. I was talking to a friend today, and we were talking about husbands and fathers and what sons and what they grow up with and the belief systems that they have about emotions and sharing emotions and being vulnerable, and how they don't really create that safe space for one another, that it's signified as weakness to each other. And that's, I don't have sons, but I do know, when it comes to men, for men to be emotionally vulnerable, I think my husband's really good at it because he has been surrounded by women his whole life and me. So I haven't really let him get away with shutting down any kind of emotions, but that's important. Being vulnerable is important. So looking at those generational wounds and how your family, how your biological family or the family you grew up in, how they navigated the emotional field. Were you told to stop crying? Were you told to, did you get punished for negative emotions? All of those things are going to be a factor in how you feel about yourself and respond to life. All right, so I looked up the definition of self-love. It is a positive trait that involves having a high regard for your own well-being and happiness. Do you have a high regard for your own well-being and happiness? That's a really good question. If you want to know if you love yourself, look at how you treat yourself and how you allow others to treat you. That's a big one. Because if you allow people to walk all over you, if you're always putting other people's needs above yours, I know we were taught that's what we're supposed to do, but if you're constantly doing that, you're taking away from the value of yourself. You have no regard for yourself when you're putting everybody else's needs above your own. And we know plenty of stories, and we probably have encountered it ourselves, the burnout of just giving too much and depleting, completely depleting ourselves. To invoke self-love is an important part of an inner journey to really get to understand your own love of self. It's an internal journey. It's not something that you can go outside and get. You can't buy another thing. You can't eat another thing. You can't drink another drink. You can't do another drug to help you to feel that self-love and worthiness. It's an internal journey, and it is a journey, like I said. The importance of the inner journey. So we're talking meditation here. I'm thinking about putting another meditation challenge together, and it'll be soon. It'll be really soon. I'm really just not a fan of doing things online anymore, but I know that there's a need for this. I know that people, once you start to self-actualize through quieting the mind and getting to know yourself, this is what happens. When you quiet your mind, you create that space and awareness. And that space and awareness is going to help you to be an observer of that voice, to go, that's not true. And I don't want to believe that. And I'm not going to tune into that anymore because that's not who I am. The only way to really do that is to get out of this monkey mind, to get out of that constant programming that you have initialized by being part of this life journey. It's also to raise your vibration. So when you quiet the mind, quieting the mind is called zero state awareness in quantum physics. You raise your vibration because when you quiet your mind, you let go. You let go of everything around you. So you let go of the to-do list, and maybe you have a little challenge with this. I mean, it happens to us. Sometimes I'm like really thinky in my meditation, but for the most part, I can just keep dropping back. And that's the idea of meditation, is to keep dropping back into that zero state. When you're at zero state awareness, it's where everything's created from. So you've got a clean slate to work with. You clear the vibration before, and you actually change your state of being because you put yourself in a higher state of consciousness. You put yourself in a higher state of vibration. So when you open your eyes, unless you pick up on what you were worrying about before the meditation, if you can successfully let it go, then you're going to be in a different place vibrationally, and your day is going to go a lot different. That's why I suggest doing it in the morning, because it's the best time to do it. You connect with who you are beyond your ego, beyond your stories, and beyond your wounds. And that's been one of my challenges recently, is that I've had this like letting go of the ego thing. So I realized the other day, I'm like, oh my gosh, like we need the ego to do things. We do. We need the ego. The ego kind of drives us, right? It drives us to want to be out in the spotlight, to want to put ourselves out there, to want to launch books and programs and all of that. You kind of need the ego for that. So without that ego, then it kind of becomes this being thing. And I think that's what I've been in recently. That's why when I say I'm going to do a meditation challenge, I don't know when, I am acting on inspiration fully right now. And I've gone through a process of letting everything go. I've been writing, I've been doing the show. I'm still doing stuff, right? I still do my laundry. I still clean, I still cook, but just letting everything go and being, right? Being in this atmosphere of openness and receiving to the inspirations that come. So you can't do anything without that, because if you don't have the inspiration, then you're really just pushing and being desperate. And that's something I haven't been interested in doing. So that's why I've been quiet. I haven't been doing things. I'm formulating some stuff. I'm getting excited to launch things, but not yet. Okay. So when you let go, when you heal the wounds and you start to disconnect from the ego is important. We need the ego, like I said, but you start to disconnect from it, where you don't necessarily want to be everybody, you don't want to be the spotlight. You don't want to be the center of attention. That's a lot of ego. There's a lot of stuff that goes with ego that it's like, Kind of blows my mind. Taking anything personally is ego. It really is. Even beating yourself up is ego. Yeah, just discovered that this year. So, to begin healing from the stories that have kept you in a low vibe relationship with yourself, you've got to get real about what they are. So, you've got to connect with, what is that inside of me? What is that that makes me emotionally eat? What is that that makes me drink too much alcohol? What is that that makes me yell at my kids? You've got to initialize with it. You've got to actually face it. What is it that creates so much fear inside of me, that makes me feel like I can't breathe? What is it that makes me distrust the universe and feel insecure all the time about who I am in this world walking around? You have to initialize it. You've got to look at it. You've got to authenticate it. You've got to say, what is this about for me? Because if you don't start asking these questions and really getting, honest with yourself, then you're just surface living. You're literally driving on the surface of life, and you are susceptible to every trigger possible, every trigger that is connected to your wounds. And you're also susceptible to addictions, because addictions, that's what addictions are. They're just surface living. They're keeping us from actually getting in touch with who we really are, getting in touch with our emotions, really feeling how we need to feel our feelings. To recognize that everyone and everything is reflecting how you feel about yourself back to you. So this is like, there's a balance between this, because remember, if the ego is taking things personally, right? Then when somebody does something, if you take it personally and you allow it to hurt you, or you allow it to evoke feelings of abandonment or shame or whatever it's bringing up for you, you are giving your power away. And you have some things that you need to work on. If someone does something and you don't take it personally, this is how you know that you're not living in self-love. You either you live on the defense, or you're always offended by someone or something. You take things personally all the time. That means that your relationship with self is suffering, because you don't really know who you are, and you're looking at the outside world and you're saying, that must be because I'm unlovable, or that must be because they don't like me, because I'm unlikable. That's all those voices in there that are not allowing you to create self-love for yourself. So when it comes to people doing things, you can either take it personally. If you take it personally, you got something to work on. That's great. It's great, because then and then you can work on it, and then you can heal it. If you don't take it personally, if you're just like, that's about them. I just had like a lot of friendships end this past year, and some things that they've done, and I'm just like, wow, that's really sad. That's really sad that they would want to try to be hurtful. It's sad to me. And that I never got the value that I really am from them, and that I took that for so long, that I allowed that for so long. And that was a journey in my own awareness. That was a journey that I actually think connected to that mother wound, that connected to that biological wound, that I connected those pieces. I'm like, this is exactly how I used to be with my family, where I wouldn't speak up and I wouldn't say anything, and people were fighting, but they were sweeping everything under the rug, and then everybody's just resentful. And I was like, whoa, that was my childhood, and I'm putting a stop to it, because I'm not going to live like that anymore. So I had to let those things go that were creating that devalue of me. So look at the things that don't value you. All right, so here are some things that will tell you where you are on that self-love journey, and if you are lacking in your self-love. So you live on the defense, you take things personally, you are easily offended for yourself or others, you take part in things that are harmful or disrespectful to you. Okay. Emotional eating, drug use, alcohol abuse, toxic relationships, activities that mess up your best life. So that could be anything that's like unhealthy, that messes up you being in like your best potential. Hurting others or being happy at their misfortune. Do you do that? Yeah, not good. Like if you're jealous of people, you're blocking the flow of blessings that could come to you when you're not happy for other people. Tolerating negativity or people who dump on you or use you. They just use you. We all know people like that. They only come to us when they have problems. They're not really there for us, but we're like, oh, we're needed. That's part of the ego too. Like, oh, I'm needed. And that feels good to be needed, right? But if they're only coming to you when they need you, it's not really a solid relationship. It's not really reflecting the self-love that you are. Moving out of these habits is a journey. It's a journey, and it's one that takes time to process. Part of the law of attraction that is important to understand is momentum. If you have a certain momentum in your life, like you have always taken the back seat to people, or you have always been the people pleaser, it's going to take time to shift that, because you got all these relationships now that are set up on that. They're used to that. So you've got to kind of, and there's going to be a lot of like breaking through that guilt barrier. Yeah, the guilt barrier. We had an awesome Mother's Day, but towards kind of the middle center of the day, we made a decision to go to dinner by ourselves because that was what Mama needed. And I could have felt really guilty about that. In fact, I felt a little awkward about it in some moments. And part of life and doing what's right for you sometimes is not necessarily going to evoke the best feeling in everybody else. But if you don't feel guilty, I pretty much refuse mom guilt because I have done so much for my kids. I love my kids so much. They know how much I love them. I go to the ends of the earth for them. But in this past year or two, my kids are adults now. My youngest is 20. We have 22, 30, and 31. At this point in my life, I am experiencing some freedom that I really enjoy, and I'm not going to feel guilty for it because I've given my whole life to them. I've literally been a mom since I was 19. So, and if that's not your story, anyways, it doesn't matter, because the guilt factor, the only thing that guilt does is send a reflection of guilt to you. So it actually makes people feel worse because you feel guilty. They have to reflect that guilt, and then everybody's miserable. So guilt is such a wasted emotion. So doing what's right for you is not always easy, and you have to kind of toe that line of guilt, of letting the guilt go, so that no one reflects that to you anymore, and saying, you know what, I'm worthy of this. I deserve a nice dinner out with my husband without any drama. I deserve that. So sometimes you have to do that for yourself and let go of whatever that internal voice is going to give you that's an old story, because guilt is unworthiness as well. Feeling guilty is unworthiness because it's like, oh, I should be doing something for somebody else instead of myself. That's all guilt is. It's such a silly emotion. It's really one of the lowest emotions on the emotional scale, and it serves no purpose. I think I have a whole show on letting go of guilt. It's like I let go of guilt a long time ago. Every once in a while, it'll try to pop its head, and I'm like, I ping it away because I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. That is not worthiness. Guilt is not worthiness. All right, so this is the journey. You're going to start learning how to receive gifts, compliments, and praise. So how do you respond when somebody gives you a gift, a compliment, or a praise? Do you push it away? Do you push it away? I'm working with someone right now, a physical therapist, and yesterday he was working on me, and he's so brilliant. He's like the most brilliant person I've ever met when it comes to the body, your nerves, how your nerves respond, and he's doing amazing things in healing my body. And he said to me that he connected with these other doctors and dentists, and they were really, really smart. And I said, yeah, I could see you like connecting with them and co-creating something. He's like, yeah, well, I need to learn from them first. They're so smart. And I said, you're so smart. And he goes, yeah. And I go, yeah, you're so smart. And I was like, oh, I do the same thing, because we take what we know, we take our knowledge for granted. So when we start to initialize and we're like, you know, I'm really smart and I'm really articulate and I really understand about this, like this topic, then we start to connect with that worthiness. So I'm working on him in this worthiness thing for sure. All right, valuing yourself in your relationships. we get upset about things because we don't put our own boundaries in place. We get resentful because we allow things to happen when we could have said something. We could have put a boundary in place. We could have stopped whatever's going on. We didn't have to allow this. It's when we are constantly allowing our boundaries to be trampled on that we create our own misery. It's the truth. And I know it's hard to say things and it's awkward, but if we don't speak up, we're going to continue to be taken advantage of. And there is no joy in that. I promise. It just leads to resentment, which leads to a state of being that just creates more reasons to feel resentful. It's no fun. Taking care of yourself, super duper important. I remember a long time ago, I remember recognizing nurses and like just seeing nurses in my life. And like, as I remember, like the people that I know that were nurses, they were always extremely overweight. They never took care of themselves. They always put themselves last. They always put everybody else's well-being above their own. And that's not like every nurse across the board. If you're a nurse and you're not overweight, then I'm not talking about you. But typically, nurses tend to put people's well-being above their own because they're used to taking care of people. That's their vocation. They believe that mothers can be the same way as well. If you're that type of mother, staying true to yourself. So instead of, clear something for somebody, clearing some nurse energy there. Staying true to yourself. How do you stay true to yourself? How do you stay true to your own desires and what you really want? Do you speak up for yourself? Do you say what you need? I talked about this, I think, last week about like getting a crappy cup of coffee. Go back and ask for the cup of coffee that you wanted. That's a good practice in initializing your voice and loving yourself and saying, you know what? I'm worthy of asking for what I need. I deserve to get what I need. I don't need to suffer in silence. I don't need to take a backseat to other people. I can ask for what I want. I can do that because I am worthy. I am worthy. Speaking your truth, honoring how you feel, and putting your foot down. I've had to put my foot down several times in my life where I'm like, okay, enough is enough. I remember a really long time ago with my husband, and he grew up in a family that used words to hurt, definitely used words to hurt. So that was kind of how his mom kind of dealt with things and would say terrible things. So when we were in, our relationship and our marriage, a lot of times he would result to name calling and getting nasty. And I remember the day I told him that won't happen anymore. I won't tolerate that anymore. That is not who I am. That is not what I want my girls to see. That is not the way we're going to conduct this, how we're going to communicate. And he's done so much better with that because I have put up a boundary and told him that that's not going to work anymore. And he respects that because he respects me and I respect myself. So if you have a significant other that's always talking down to you, please, please, please look at that, because that is never going to allow you to live your life's greatest potential. And it's going to solidify and amplify that nasty self-critical voice in your head. It's not going to help you to blossom and become your true sense of worthiness. So really look at that. Things you can do. So these are things you can do to activate self-love. I'm going to do a little meditation at the end of this. I'll try to leave plenty of time to do that. But also, I have an amazing self-love meditation on my YouTube channel that I've never allowed to be public. So I'm gonna break that one free, and I'm gonna put that one out there. So just go to Manifest to Live Life Golden on YouTube and look up self-love meditation after Thursday this week. So that would be May 16th. 2024. So look up guided meditation self-love on my Manifest to Live Life Golden. And while you're there, subscribe and like. That would be helpful. Thank you. But that self-love, I've had great feedback from that self-love meditation, but I'll do a little release for the unworthiness piece of it at the end of this. All right. So these are things you can do. Meditation is number one. It engages worthiness and connects you with your value just for being. So when you sit down, you're doing so much more than just sitting there. You're doing so much more than battling with your thoughts. You are literally telling the universe, I am allowing. I'm in an allowing state. I'm in a receiving state. That's what meditation is. I am receiving. I get the coolest inspirations when I meditate. Sometimes in the middle of my meditation, I was literally for months trying to think of what to get my very best friend from kindergarten for her birthday. And literally a thing pops in my head during meditation, like in just enough time for her to receive it for her birthday. I had this idea. If you look up Lexa Liu on Instagram, she's this amazing photographer in Connecticut. And what is she under on Instagram? Let me just look. Oh, maybe it's Lexi Fanning. No, it's LEXXALOO. Give her a follow. So I had bought a picture from her when I was in Connecticut, and it's this beautiful picture of hydrangea and a barn. And it's just like, it's my childhood, And I thought, what a great gift to give my friend, that like, this is our childhood. Like, this is where we first connected. And so she happened to have a picture just like the one I bought, but it was bigger and it fit inside the frame that my daughter's husband made from wood from Connecticut. So that was super cool. And she got it yesterday, and it was like, but that's what happens when you meditate. You clear the slate for inspirations. You clear the slate for, instead of like, oh no, what am I going to get her? What am I going to get her? Being in the problem, you let go, and then your higher mind can give you the answers. So meditation is so important to also clearing and healing, helping you to come to new awarenesses, connecting with your worthiness, letting go of that monkey mind, shitty committee thought process that always has you running around, that always has you focusing on problems. It elevates you into the higher mind where you can get real answers. The heck is that? Okay. Self-care, self-respect, how you treat yourself, your body, and how your inner voice treats you. Those are super important. So how are you treating yourself? Do you ever take care of yourself? Are you exercising? Are you eating right? Are you drinking water? Are you eating a bunch of junk food all the time? Are you doing things that you keep telling yourself you don't want to do? I like to enjoy life. I really do. I don't really like to say no to too much. But I know that my ideal health is based on loving and respecting my body, not putting a bunch of junk food, not putting a bunch of sugar, not putting a bunch of gummy bears in there, Every once in a while I fall off that. But then when I get back to it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is what it means to feel good, not to be driven by sugar, to really connect with my greatest potential. So what are you doing in that area for yourself? Are you always putting everybody else first? So you don't have time to work out. You don't have time to go for a walk. You don't have time to spend time in nature. All those things are so important to your well-being that you've got to carve it out. You got to carve it out. You got to find a way. And I know if you're super busy right now, when my kids were little, I literally got up at 4:00 in the morning to do it because it meant so much to me to value myself and then to show up in my day. I used to get up at 4 a.m. and meditate and then go to the gym because those were the two things that I knew would make me a better mom. They would make me a better person. They would make me feel like I had power in my life. Super important. What you believe about yourself. What would you like to believe about yourself? So what do you believe about yourself? Are you always putting yourself down? Are you always having self-defeating thoughts about yourself? It matters. It matters. Mind over matter. It matters what you say to yourself. It matters how you feel about yourself. It matters how you believe about yourself. It really matters. And when you initialize, I am worthy, I am love, I am truth, I am connecting with that real sense of essence and self, you put out a different signal to the universe. And then the universe can meet you with things like abundance and love and soulmates and all sorts of wonderful friendships and all of that. But if you're in that self-defeating place, it's like you're putting a wall up to all of that, to your true abundance. I have someone on my Facebook feed who's always saying, just having really like negativity towards money and wealth and people that are wealthy. And I'm like, you're putting up a wall. You're putting up a wall saying that you don't deserve that they deserve that more than you. And you're jealous of them having it. And they should, they shouldn't be allowed to have that. And the truth is, if you really loved yourself, if you really had worthy of your own being, the universe would reflect that to you and you would create massive abundance. I am definitely living proof of that. Like, I totally get how being in that higher vibrational state of self-love connects with all the abundance in the universe. And when I say abundance, I don't necessarily mean money, but money is part of abundance. It's an energy, so it's part of that. I mean, wonderful gifts, wonderful people, wonderful experiences, beautiful places. All of that stuff is abundance to you. It's a direct reflection of the abundance that you feel is your surroundings. So if you live in a tiny little apartment, I've been there. If you live in a tiny little apartment and it's a mess, how can you possibly connect with abundance when you're always looking at a mess? Make your space beautiful, clean it out, do some shifting, do some energy work, let some things go, clean up your spaces. That is so important. I've done a huge clean out of our house, partly because I think we might be moving, but also because I know it's important to let go of energy so you can initialize new energies. So letting go, cleaning out your closets, cleaning out the junk drawer. The other day I opened a drawer that I cleaned out like 2 months ago and I was like, wow, this is great. Used to be full of junk and I used to have a hard time closing it. And now there's like hardly anything in it. And I was like, oh, that feels good. That's abundance right there. All right. What is driving your behavior? What is driving your behavior? What is driving you to be you? What is driving you in your everyday? Is it desperation? Are you chasing people? Are you chasing problems? Are you in a low vibe all the time? Are you always talking about what's going wrong? Are you gossiping? Are you putting people down? What's your vibration? What's your state? What are you believing about yourself? Is it patterns that have been handed down to you? Are these patterns, problem patterns, we call them, did you have parents that were always in the problem? Did you have friends, significant others that are always in the problem? If you have a significant other that's always in the problem, you don't necessarily need to be a Pollyanna and fight them on it. You just need to know what you want and you need to talk about that and try to help, just work to shift that in your experience. We don't always have to change people's minds. We just need to change ourselves, really. All right. So you matter. You matter. You really matter. What you want matters. The love inside of you matters. If you're not feeling that self-love that I talk about and you're kind of feeling like it's, it's kind of murky right now, I promise if you start opening up this channel to it, it's going to come to you. You're going to get it. I remember long time ago when somebody talked about meditating and they're like, oh, you need to center yourself. I'm like, what does that even mean? I'm just sitting here and I'm not doing nothing and I don't get it. And then I had a meditation teacher who really taught me about thoughts and about our mind and how to actually clear that space and actually come into the center of our being. You're actually going into a higher state of consciousness when you let everything go. And then you can start to connect with the truth of that stream of being that you are, that stream of infinite intelligence that you are. And then you kind of connect to your wisdom channel as well. Everything that messes up your wisdom channel is anxiety, fear, stress, all that stuff blocks the flow. So you want to be at peace more. You want to be relaxed more. You want to take care of yourself more because the better you feel, the better things are going to get. That is probably the greatest message today. The better you feel about yourself, the more you take care of yourself, the more you create within yourself and get to know that true worthiness that you are. I know you are worthy because we are all one, and I know that I am worthy. So if you are a piece of me and I am a piece of you, and we are all in this piece, this stream together, then we are all worthy. You are worthy just for being here, just for getting up every day, just for saying yes to life. You are worthy. You are worthy when you just sit and you just be. You're worthy because nothing in this universe that is created is without value. Nothing. It is all valuable. So see yourself as that value. Understand the love that you really are. And come with me on this little journey to let go of the things that may be blocking that self-love within yourself. All right, so we're going to close our eyes. We've got a few minutes here, so I want you to take a deep breath. And I want you to center yourself in your eyelids. I want you to actually look at the center of your forehead. So your eyes are closed, but you're looking at the center of your forehead. And when you look at the center of your forehead, you should just see a really nice blank slate. So you're listening to my voice and you're looking at this blank slate, almost like a chalkboard that someone has erased. And I want you to, energy is coming in. I want you to take a deep breath and just let go. I want you to let go of all the worries, let go of the day, let go of the circumstances, let go of the stories, and let go of any wounds or anything that's been bothering you. I want you to just let it go right now. Yeah. Woo. When you do that, you can float because you're not holding yourself under the water anymore. So sitting in this relaxed space with me, I want you to open up your field. Open up your field to this beautiful, warm, orange, yellow, pink light. It's all these beautiful colors and it's all around you. And it's activating your auric field in a way that allows it to be open. So anything that's been blocking that field, we ask that it releases. So take a deep breath and release all energies of self-hatred or unforgiveness or resentments or the devaluing of yourself, the disrespect of yourself, anything you've experienced with anybody else. We just ask that all of those blockages are released. So any blockage around your heart, any blockage around your field, we just ask that that's released. So take a nice deep breath and imagine you're blowing that out all around your field and you're just releasing. You're releasing all those energies of not feeling good enough, of not being enough, feeling unworthy or low self-esteem. We just ask that that's completely unblocked from your entire field. And that we are now open to receiving this beautiful self-love and light. Oh, so good. So, so good. There's even some green color coming in now, which is that emerald green color of the heart chakra. This unconditional love and light is pouring down into you. You can feel it up-leveling your internal systems. It's bringing you to a new place of value, a new place of respect. It's bringing you into the knowing of who you truly are, that worthiness, that trust of the universe to bring you all the good things, all the goodness, all the abundance, all the truth, all the honor, and allowing you to really connect with you now, the power that you have now, nothing from the past. Let all of that go. Yeah, clean the field, sweep the field of the past, because the only moment that matters is right here and right now. So take another deep breath and bask in this light and this energy and this up-leveling of your incredible field of energy around you. And imagine that light is activating your cells. So it's penetrating your body and it's coming into your cells. It's coming into your brain, into your neural pathways, and it's activating you in this high vibration of light, bringing you in more connection with your higher mind, your higher state of consciousness, your higher state of being, allowing you to formulate a new relationship with yourself where you know love from the internal, deepest parts of yourself. The love that God has for you, the love that the universe has for you, the love that made you, that brought you into this existence, the love that you truly are, and the love that you have access to because we're turning it on. We're activating your cells in love. We're activating your cells in truth. And we're bringing you to a new place of connection, of healing, of wholeness, of knowing, believing, and trusting in your ability to stand in your own well-being. Connecting with the higher vibrational activities that will bring you here. So giving you the intuitions, the ideas, the beliefs, the motivation, the inspiration to connect with what's really, really good for you. It's going to make you feel your best. Those higher vibrational thoughts, the ones that tell you to be grateful, that show you the beauty in the world, that inspire you to look up, to see the birds, to hear them, to bask in them, to notice the beautiful flowers, the trees, to feel that sun on your face. Those are the moments of truth, of what you're really here for, which is to enjoy the wonder that is all around you and to say yes to more moments that value you and to let go of those that do not. Placing you in the greatest state of well-being, of relaxation, of peace, allowing and receiving to become all that you came here to be and to initialize with the truth of who you are now. So just feel that beautiful light all around you and within you, bringing you to a new space, a space where you know who you are and why you're here, and allowing you to let go of what doesn't make sense anymore for someone who knows that they are worthy. Wow, that made me feel wonderful. I hope that was valuable to you. We have a few more minutes left. I'm going to share a couple of things that I've going on. If you go to livelifegolden.com and you subscribe, I will send you my daily post, usually daily, sometimes not. You can always find my daily posts at Golden Duffy on Facebook or on Instagram at Live Life Golden. I have a post every day that I channel. And then my Mindful Manifestation Secrets book is on Amazon, also on Audible now, so you can actually hear it read by me. You get a free trial of that. There's a 3-month trial. And if you want the link to that, you can just email me at livelifegolden@gmail.com or reach out to me on Facebook. Also, Mindful Manifestation Secrets Daily Guide and Journal is a great, do I have any of those up here? I don't think I do, but that would be a great start in your self-love journey, because there's a journal there and there's a lot of reflections in there and a lot of writing prompts in there. So you can find that also on Amazon. That's the Daily Guide and Journal. You have to look up the whole title because Amazon buries me. Quantum Speak for Parents is also on there. That is energetic parenting, and it's kind of the law of attraction and what I've learned about parenting energetically with my kids. I will keep you up to date on anything else that I'm launching, which there will be things soon. I don't want to keep putting things out there and not putting them out there. I'm just gonna be easy with myself right now. I'm gonna love myself through this part of my life, and I'm gonna bask in the freshness of every day and really revel in the fact that I have this time to work from inspiration and to put out to the world what I feel inspired. This particular show, the self-love show, came to me just a little while ago. And I thought, you know what? I think a lot of people are confused by self-love because they don't really understand what it means, because we've so been taught that loving yourself and putting yourself above others is selfish. And the truth is, we've got to take our power back. We are the only ones in charge of how we treat ourselves and how we allow the world to treat us. And the better we treat ourselves and the better we feel, the better life we're going to create, which actually creates a better world for everybody else. So when people see you living your best life and doing what's right for you, it gives them permission to do that as well. And if everybody's doing what's right for themselves, we've got a world of people that are living their best lives. It's a lie to say that that's not true. Yes, when you're in love with your life and you're doing really well, you're going to want to be in service to people. That's just how it is. It bubbles over. You want to give. That's what I do every week on this show, because it bubbles over and you want to share it. So it doesn't mean it's me, me, me. For a little while, you might need to retreat into you, and that's okay, because it's time to heal. It's time to heal those generational wounds, stop those generational cycles, and show our young women and young men that it's okay. It's okay to love yourself. And it's a really good thing to love yourself, so you can allow the world to reflect that love to you. And then the world just becomes a more loving place. All right, guys, that's my show for today. Love y'all. Peace out.